Good evening and welcome to the Village Council meeting for the Village of Yellow Springs for Monday, October 20th. This is a regular meeting. Judy, if you could call the roll.
Stokes.
I'm here.
DeVore Leonard.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Couch.
Here.
Also present, Village Manager Burns, Solicitor Amy Blankenship, Planning and Zoning and Development Director Meg Leatherman, Assistant Village Manager Elise Giardulo, Finance Director Michelle Robinson, and Police Chief Burge. I think I got it.
Welcome all. Quite the crew.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to say that Trish Gustafson
Yep.
is out this evening for a family matter.
All right. So Chair will entertain a motion and a second to excuse Trish for her absence.
So moved. Second?
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye. Nay.
Gotcha. So we have a majority, so that motion has passed. Okay. We've got some swearings in. We've got for Public Arts and Culture Commission, we've got Kelly Pinkleton and Kelly Carpy. I said that right? Are both of you here? Either of you here? Yes. Kelly? All right, great. Just do the work.
All right, come on. Kelly, yeah.
I don't have the lid. This is PACC.
I gave you the...
Yeah, that PACC, and do you need any help with signatures? We have that document?
If you get a signature on yours, and just shoot it back this way, and then here is one too. It for her to hang on to if she would like to, just to read.
To read along as I say it, you may not have that. That's For Public Arts and Culture Commission, I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution and will obey the laws of the United States and of the state of Ohio, that I will in all respects observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Public Arts and Culture Commission. All right. Well, thank you. We're done here. Welcome. So just this one? No, yep, that's good. So she signed her part name? And then we'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you're in there. Judy, I got 2 minutes.
You just need to see if Lexi is here. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And,
Lex.
oh, wait, Lexi. Okay, and then we've got Lexi Kip also for Public Arts and Culture Commission?
That is for
No,
environmental.
wrong. Environmental Commission. So this one is, yeah, but
Yes,
Lexi
I don't
is for.
see Lexi
I don't see
though.
Lexi either.
Okay,
Okay.
all righty. Sorry for all the hubbub, folks, but that's the end of
Got
the
one.
swearings in. Feel free to wave your lapel pin around and show off.
Also, once you are sworn in, if you do not wish to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're certainly not obligated to do so.
Well, please exit as stealthily as possible if you choose to do so. All right, thank you, everyone, for your indulgence. So announcements, and we do have on our agenda Jeff Brock with Greene County Public Library regarding the library levy information. So, Jeff, you have the floor.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to share about Issue 2, supporting your Greene County Public Library. Your library has consistently delivered effective resources and services, all while maintaining responsible stewardship. Issue 2 will help your library keep its services in place, especially for our kids, our seniors, and our businesses, and keep your community strong. With over 100,000 cardholders in Greene County, your library is busier than ever. Over 80,000 of those cardholders take part in almost 4,000 on-site and virtual programs, and circulation of all our materials is at all-time highs. However, changes in state funding threaten Greene County Public's library ability to keep services and materials at levels your community demands. We have already seen reduction in those funds. I'm here today to ask your support for Issue 2 on this November's ballot. Issue 2 is a 1 mil levy for a period of 10 years, less than $3 a month per 100,000 assessed home value. This levy, which will never increase even if property values do, will ensure your library keeps current services and holdings in place and grows those resources that keeps Yellow Springs strong. Vote for our kids. The 7 branches of your library work with and support your local school district and your daycares. It holds over 900 story times a year. The Bookmobile visits over 2,000 kids a month. The tutoring program has helped more than 10,000 students in the last 4 years. And who here has not heard of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library?
Right.
Vote for our seniors. Your library delivers thousands of books to seniors who are isolated in their homes and in care facilities. Your library teaches technology to seniors in your senior center, and of course, seniors never pay fines at your library. Vote for our businesses. Your library provides internet access and public computers that hundreds use every year for job searches and applications. It supports business development and entrepreneurship through our Sparks Place in Xenia, serving Greene County. I invite you on November the 4th to support Issue 2 and help your local Greene County Public Library keep what it has and keep your community strong. Support Issue 2 and speak on our behalf wherever you can. About $35 a year for most property owners, and it will never increase even if property values do. Vote to keep your community strong and provide resources and services used by over 60% of this county. Help keep your Yellow Springs Library what it has. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And in full disclosure, Jeff and I serve on the Greene County Public Library Board together. I tried to keep a poker face, but I'm very proud of Jeff and the work that he's done. He's the executive director of Green Giving, in addition to being vice president on the Greene County Library Board. And I'm proud, Jeff, to serve with you. Thank you for showing up. And I guess it might go without saying how I intend to vote regarding Issue 2. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Do we have any other announcements?
I have one on behalf of Mayor Pam. So I'll go ahead and read this. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, but she wanted to highlight on Friday, September 26th, representatives from the outdoor education groups across the state gathered for a summit at Camp Green on Grinnell Road to celebrate 15 years of the Ohio Children's Outdoor Bill of Rights, which we all have. Yep. And Mayor Pam has been invited to attend by Hope Taft, who was there along with her husband Bob Taft, former Ohio Governor Ted Strickland, and his wife Frances, and Ohio Department of Natural Resources Director Mary Mertz. That group held a panel discussion on the importance of getting our Ohio youth of all ages, regardless of where they live, outside and experiencing the world and wonders of nature. For those attending the conference, it was a day of networking, small group discussions, speeches, and a lecture or two, along with the awards for successful programs already in place, one of which was taken home by our own Antioch School for Best in Ohio Connect to Nature School, and was accepted by Lindy Keaton and Chris Westhoff on behalf of the school. Mayor Pam wanted all council members to be aware of this summit and to have a copy of the Outdoor Bill of Rights as a reminder of the importance of supporting efforts within our village to give our village opportunities to experience the great outdoors.
All right.
And then otherwise, I wanted to mention, thanks to the James A. McKee Association for Candidates Nights, ×2. And otherwise, just happy that our village recognizes Indigenous Peoples' Day, which happened this past Monday. So, thank you.
All right. Anything else? Any other announcements? Philip?
Hello, Philip O'Rourke, Executive Director of the Yellow Springs Chamber of Commerce, and I'm coming with just a few announcements of events that are going to be coming up. So on October 31st, Halloween, Lucky Bunny Tattoo Club is presenting Trick, Treat, or Dance at the community space at Short Street from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. It's 100% kid-friendly and free with a kids and adult costume contest, temporary tattoos, snacks, refreshments, and dancing to the music of DJ Creeping Bear. Cider Days is coming up on November the 7th and 8th. This is our second anniversary of this, which we're really excited about. Local businesses will feature cider and fall-inspired scents, foods, drinks, merchandise, and more. And on the 8th, Piper Orchards will host their Cider Fest from 11 to 4. So again, that's the weekend of the 7th and 8th in November. And then lastly, also coming up is Small Business Season featuring Yellow Friday, which is everybody's Black Friday, and Small Business Saturday on November the 28th and the 29th. The Yellow Tote, designed again by Dusty Pitstick from Lucky Bunny Tattoo Club, returns this year by popular demand. It was supposed to be limited last year, but we had a lot of requests for it to come back. And it will feature special discounts, giveaways, and more for bag holders. So there's more information about all of these events that are going to be coming up for the community as well as everybody in here. Please feel free to visit yellowspringsohio.org. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Philip. Any other announcements? All right, seeing no activity, we're going to move on. We have the consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda, first of which is the minutes of our October 6th, 2025 regular meeting. The chair will entertain a motion and a second to approve the minutes of our October 6th meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Hearing no activity, that motion has been approved. The second is the minutes of our October 1st, 2025 special council meeting or budget session number 1. Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
All right, all in favor of approving those minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. That motion is passed. Third, minutes of our October 15th special council budget session number 2. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right, all in favor of approving, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you, that motion has passed. Fourth and last item on the consent agenda is the credit card statement for the month of September. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
I will second that. I don't know if I heard one otherwise. All in favor of approving the credit card statement for September, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing nothing, that motion has passed. Now we're at review of the agenda. This is where we consider items on the agenda, whether anything should be removed or adding anything that needs to be considered for addition to the agenda.
So I think I have 2 things. One is a nomination for an alternate for Planning Commission. Is that already, is that factored into the boards and commissions? Okay, sorry, then one
That's
thing.
okay.
Okay, and then, I don't know, do I make a motion or something to do an executive session for Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1 to consider the compensation of a public employee? So this would be just a meeting at the, like an executive session after our, at the end of the rest of the meeting, I guess.
Okay. So, Judy, just putting the agenda item on is one thing. We don't need to really vote for that, but we would have to vote to go into executive session if we're going to do it. Am I right? Okay.
Yes.
So we will add to the end of this agenda. And thank you, Judy, for keeping me honest when that time comes.
Is there any need to anticipate you making a decision following that session? Or,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah. So
Okay.
that being the case, we would, but we'll deal with it when we come. So I think the answer, again, is no regarding that. Okay? So that will be after board and commissions. Or
That'll-
after future.
yeah, after future agenda, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. All right, anything else for agenda review? All right, thank you for your engagement up to this point. Petitions and communications. Gavin, if you would, please.
Okay, we've got the mayor's clerk with the monthly quarterly reports. She makes a note that this is almost the last, maybe the last quarter, getting very close, so just if you've enjoyed the mayor's reports, soak it in. Then we've got, I'll group them together, several support for Short Street closure, Bouquet and Oberg, Terry Holden, YS Chamber. I think that's all. And then several opposition to Short Street closure, Betty Kelly, Anita Kohler, Marsha Walgren, and Ann Johnston. Then we've got opposition to changing TGL distance measurement, Kathy Adams. Then AES Ohio with the memo about the distribution cost increase request to PUCO. Then Alyssa Palella regarding the request for conversion therapy ban. There's 3 messages. Then also Ree Molnar with a request related to the same conversion therapy ban. The US EPA with the Vernay third quarter report. And then Brian Housh with the active transportation update document, the survey data from that active transportation survey.
Okay, all right, Gavin, thank you for that. As we move into public hearings and legislation, we do have an emergency reading and several second readings. The chair will entertain a motion and a second to read those items by title only.
So moved. Second?
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right. Judy, if you would, please, by title only, read ordinance 2025-23.
This is a 2025 fourth quarter supplemental appropriation and declaring an emergency, Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio.
Can I get a motion and a second to discuss?
So moved.
All right, thank you. Hey, Michelle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I have the supplemental here for third quarter. It includes a couple different line items. One is for special events for public safety. It was a $1,000 donation for Safety Village. Then we have $4,078 going to the Parks and Rec Fund. That is various donations, street fair parking for the fall street fair, T-shirt donations, and a couple other donations that total the $4,078. Then the next line item is the Green Space Fund. We're asking for the release of grant funds to Tecumseh Land Trust for the purpose of conserving farmland located outside the village urban service boundary for $113,000. Then the next one is $400 for Coats and Supplies Fund. That was a donation that we received. And then the last one is for utility roundup. We're asking to allow for increasing the budget for $4,750.
Thank you for that, Michelle. Any questions of Michelle based on that report, please?
Wait, I bet you can guess what I'm asked about. So just the 113, so does that mean that the land that we've been we had talked about, they had set aside, does that mean that it's in the process of a sale?
I believe it's coming up November or December.
December 10th is the closing. We're getting a memo for next council.
So just to be clear, does that mean that TLT has reached an agreement with,
The said purchaser, yes.
okay, so it's not like we're giving 113
No.
theoretically, it's like there's a deal,
There is a deal.
the money goes through if they need it for the project that we agreed on before.
Correct.
Okay, is it for the entire acreage?
It is.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah,
a big development. I don't know if y'all knew about it.
not bad, yeah. we
That's
did.
pretty
It's good.
exciting.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Any other questions for Michelle regarding her financial update?
I guess I'll just ask, so on the UREP stuff, it's not, this is just,
This is
it's
just,
within budget. It's
Yes.
not like,
and
this
I,
isn't, you're not asking for more that then we're not going to be able to pay for. It's within what we've already,
right. I ran that report. We're at $15,600 right now in that fund, so there's plenty of money.
Getting to be that time, too.
Yes.
We need to make sure it's padded.
Yep.
All right, well, great. All righty. There's no other discussion. Judy, if you could do voice vote? Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Want to open the public hearing?
Oh, thank you. I'm feeling pressure to go fast for some reason. All right.
It's okay.
This being an emergency ordinance, it is, we are going to open up a public hearing. So folks have the opportunity to share their thoughts and concerns about this legislation. So do we have any folks that want to weigh in on this legislation? All right, going once, going twice, going three times. All righty. The public hearing has now closed. Anything else for the good of the order before we vote? All right, Judy, if you could do the voice vote.
Brown,
Yes.
Stokes,
Yes.
DeVore Leonard,
yes?
Pausch.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for your participation. Now, Judy, if you could read by title only, ordinance 2025-18.
This is repealing and replacing Section 1264.02, general requirements of Chapter 1264, off-street parking and loading of the zoning code for the Village of Yellow Springs.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Meg.
Yeah, hi.
You have the floor. Hi.
Thank you. Meg Leatherman, Planning and Economic Development Director. This is a second reading and public hearing for revisions to Chapter 1264. Staff has been working with Gary Zaremski to develop draft language for this amendment. Was presented to the Planning Commission on September 9th, and a public hearing was held. The Planning Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval to the council. The council held a first reading on October 6th, and then we're here tonight for the official public hearing for this amendment, and then I think 4 others after this one that I'll be representing as well. So bicycle parking requirements were originally added to the zoning code in 2024, very recently, to support the village's active transportation goals. And since implementation, staff determined that the required number of spaces should be reduced by half to better reflect local conditions. Again, this was cited with Gary Zaremski, and the Yellow Springs Bicycle Group worked and suggested this. So things we're adding, besides reducing numbers in half, is also adding a requirement for transient guest lodging that was inadvertently omitted in the original adoption of the code, and also establishing, just putting in an example of when the Planning Commission can grant exceptions for the standard. And then, so tonight, after the public hearing, staff recommends you hold a public hearing, and then vote on the amendment to either modify and adopt that as it was presented to the Planning Commission, or deny, or refer it back to the Planning Commission. Those are all the options that are spelled out in the zoning code. And then I'll stand for questions on this one.
All right. Council, questions of Meg? Okay. Everyone sounds satisfied. So we are going to open the public hearing, this being a second reading of this ordinance. Are there comments from the community on this piece of legislation? All right, seeing no activity, public hearing is now closed. Judy, take a voice vote, please.
So just one quick thing. So this is actually about, I guess, the the parking itself, right? Like that the, I guess, spaces, like, can accommodate 2 bikes? Is that? Was
Yes.
that like the main change?
Yeah, so basically with new constructions, and mainly, I think it's spelled out in the code as a conditional use, when a conditional use application is submitted, we're going to require bicycle parking spaces, yes. And it's the amount, the total number of bicycle parking spaces is dependent upon the use, just kind of like vehicular parking is. So we just basically expanded that table next to where vehicular parking spaces are required for the number of bicycle parking spaces.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, we do have a hand, but please, Matt, please come on up.
We have closed the public hearing.
Yeah, so, just,
What constitutes a bicycle parking space? Like, what does that
A
mean?
rack.
I just park mine anywhere that's,
the rack, I think the legislation,
so it requires a rack.
yeah, the legislation had an example that Gary provided, photographs of different types of racks.
Specific rack.
And then Gary was here at the first reading, and he shared some thoughts about, I believe it was this piece of legislation. So yeah, so it's a rack space for that number of bicycles. Okay? Meg, you want to add anything else? We good? Okay. Any other comments? Again, the public hearing has been open and closed, so I don't see anything. We're going to move on. Judy, if you
Right.
could.
Uh-oh.
So, please, come up to the mic. So let me, because we do have a lot of legislation, we'll just ask folks, and I will be more clear for when we have the open hearing, the public hearing, and then when we close it. Again, I apologize if I wasn't clear, but go ahead, sir, you have the mic.
Were recumbent bikes and 3-wheel recumbent bikes considered in the parking space
Nope.
shape?
Nope.
A lot of people,
Nope.
on the bike path, that's the majority of what's riding around here now.
Yeah.
So it's cat trikes.
Got you.
All right, this question.
The only thing I guess would be worth mentioning is that this is a notable expansion of the amount of space, so that while I think the answer is no, that wasn't directly considered. For most of there's going to be a lot more room that's required as a result of the legislation. Is that a fair representation, Meg? Yes. I'm trying to channel my best Gary. I think that's what Gary would say. Whatever that's worth. Is that, I mean, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I won't.
Where are we at?
I guess I had a question. I want to belabor the, didn't want to belabor the point, but recumbents can sometimes be sort of big, so is there an issue with them sometimes?
We are not going to go there. It is
Okay.
not in the legislation, and
All right,
we're
it's
not
not the
going to
legislation.
discuss
We're
it.
moving on. Voice vote, please.
Thank you. DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. I'm glad you're sitting there close, Meg. All right, Judy, if you could read by title only, public ordinance number 2025-19.
This is repealing and replacing section 1262.08 specific requirements of chapter 1262 conditional use requirements, amending measurement for required distance between transient guest lodging establishments.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right, Meg, ready on the
All right.
spot. Love it.
So, just to be clear, I guess for the public comment part, it's not that we don't want that public comment, it's just that we have to be really careful when we open the public hearing, and after we close it is when we get in trouble if the public comments on something after the public hearing's been closed. So just pay attention. Kevin will say, does anyone from the public want to speak? And please come up and ask questions then, and
Yep.
then it'll keep us all out of trouble with
The law.
back there.
The law.
So, yeah, okay. So anyways, this one's another one that I've worked closely with Gary. So Gary's a planning commission member. And so, but it also relates back to the planning commission's goals for 2025. At the beginning, we set out goals for the commission. One of them was to evaluate the success or the functionality of the transient guest lodging program. Transient guest lodging is our term for Airbnb, but our short-term rentals really technically is what the code calls them, but most popularly people know them as Airbnbs. So Gary did a bunch of research and kind of ran some of it by me preliminarily on what we were looking, what research needed to be conducted on different jurisdictions. It's outlined in my memo. He presented at the Planning Commission, made a suggestion based on the research of a code amendment modifying the way that measurement is measured between the distance between two different units, because right now, the transit guest lodging program limits the number of them based on the distance between establishments. So he brought forward, along with me, draft legislation to the Planning Commission September 9th as well. All of these have September 9th. But then it was actually denied, recommended denial at the Planning Commission. It was a vote to 2-1. But we still needed to bring it forward to the council based on the way our code reads. So the Village Council held a first reading on October 6th. And now we're here tonight for a public hearing discussion on this item. And then the council should hold a public hearing, like I said, and then vote on the amendment to either modify it and then adopt it, or adopt it as, I guess it wouldn't be adopting, but deny it, or yes, you could actually, all options are open.
Yep.
You could adopt it if you wanted to, but you could also send it back to the Planning Commission, or you could deny it. Again, based on what the code outlines for ordinances and text amendments. So I guess I'll just read the new language for you. Like I said, right now, it's kind of measured by, from more as the crow flies, but that's not the exact language. But the new language reads, the measurement shall be taken along the street right-of-way as the shortest distance between the nearest points of the front property line. So again, with the intent to be to have the focus of TGLs be more focused on how the impact is on a neighborhood versus sometimes when we were measuring it the way it's in place right now, one unit could be in a whole separate neighborhood but not be able to have one because of the way the code reads right now.
Without a variance.
I'm sorry, we thought what?
Without a variance, because that wasn't the argument made
Yeah.
by Planning Commission.
Yeah, without a variance, correct. So right now, you can still submit a variance request to the Board of Zoning Appeals if you're not happy with how the measurement is and try to get it approved. But this would kind of, is attempting to alleviate the having to even go and do a variance.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions for Meg? Okay. For ordinance 2025-19, the public hearing is now open. This is where members of the community can speak to this piece of legislation, and I will ensure to give folks time to speak. Please be reminded that once we close the public hearing, I will not take additional comments. So, are there comments from the public for this piece of legislation?
I don't know about this piece of it. Is this just public opening?
This is
No.
just for this piece of legislation. If you have something else, I'm going to ask that you wait for that. Okay, come on up. Please identify yourself when you do speak, please.
Yeah, my name's Scott Osterholm. I'm on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm on the Planning Commission. I was a part of the vote, but I'm coming as a citizen because I'm telling you my reasoning of how I voted. So it's my personal, I can't speak for the commissions on this. The Planning Commission did do a 2-1 vote of not changing the variance. My rationale is, my own personal, is that because I don't want it to make it easier for more TG&Ls to come in, and then you have going around a corner where maybe there was 2, now you got 4. Because I like, as the crow flies, or property billing, or however it works, better than going by roadway. Another part is because I also like the process, if they wanted to get a variance on it, they had to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals. One of the best things I've learned on being on the Board of Zoning Appeals is you get more rationale from the people, a more in-person conversation of why they're doing it, why they need it, than you actually do on the Planning Commission. So I like the process that we have because they still have an avenue to get it done if they want to, if they meet certain criteria. It's just one more step. And I kind of like it. It also gives everyone a chance to go, whoa, let's think about this. So as a citizen, I fully recommend not changing it at all. and leaving it as it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Scott. Any other, oh, thank you.
So this kind of relates to this legislation.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry, Matthew Kirk, Village resident, Southview Drive. I actually am an Airbnb host in town, and I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but there's actually a bill in the Ohio Senate right now, which basically is looking at, or not looking, they're basically advocating for repealing most of what villages like Yellow Springs have put in place to limit Airbnbs. And, you know, part of the argument is that some communities are being too onerous, right? And so I think that's something to think of when considering these kind of things is, you know, are we getting too nitpicky, too nitty-gritty to the point where people are going to look at this and just say, you know, like, look, there's another example of just some community going way overboard and trying to micromanage, you know, whatever the situation is. So just something to think about, I guess, because there are people actively looking at communities like Yellow Springs and holding us out as an example, and not in a positive light. So.
Thank you, Matthew. Any other public comment on, excuse me, on this piece of legislation? Okay. Seeing no more activity, I'm going to close the public hearing as of this moment. So we will not receive any more commentary on ordinance 2025-19 from the public. Anything else from council before we vote? All right, Judy, if you could do a voice vote, please.
Brown.
No.
DeVore Leonard.
He's recused.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
He's got an Airbnb.
Are you under the desk?
No, he's
What's even
Your
going on?
voice was like, Housh.
No.
Stokes.
No. I want to say yes because I knew it would tell me anyway, but it doesn't matter. All right,
Fails.
so motion has failed. Thank you for your participation. Chair will entertain a motion second. I'm sorry, Judy, if you could read, I'm sorry, if you could read by title only ordinance 2025-20, please.
This is adding new section 1048.09, required backflow prevention to chapter 1048 sewers and sewage of the codified ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs.
All right, can I get a motion second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right, excited people. Oh, hey, you're still here.
Hi,
Meg?
Meg Leatherman,
No.
village staff.
Yeah.
The purpose of this update is to protect both private properties and the community at large from sewer backups and related health hazards. A backflow preventer ensures that sewage cannot flow backward from the public sewer system into a building's plumbing, thereby reducing the risk of property damage and contamination. It aligns with best practices in wastewater management and is consistent with regional and state standards. And then adopting it, this measure will provide additional safeguards for residents and businesses while strengthening overall system reliability. Johnny has supported it and asked for us to bring this forward. And we have the same options here for the council after a public hearing. You have multiple options. This one did not go to a planning commission because it's just a standard, regular village code, not in the zoning code.
Great. All right, thank you. Johnny, do you want to?
She did a fantastic job. I don't have to.
Okay, all right, good. Council, any questions or comments? All right. For ordinance 2025-20, I'm now opening the public hearing. If there's any members of the public that wish to add, to share their comments regarding this piece of legislation, now is your time to do so. Please come up, identify yourself and your relationship to the village.
Hi, my name is Eric Clark. I'm a lifelong resident of Yellow Springs. We live in the new community of Fisher Homes, and I don't know if the homes out there have already been fitted with all of these, and I haven't found anything to give an indication that if we decide to remodel our basement, add a bathroom and a bedroom down there, what kind of a cost there is to retrofit an existing home. I did not intend to ask a question because I know that's not.
Can I get back with you on that?
Yeah.
I was going to refer, I got a plumber in the room, but I don't want to call him out on that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, right. There you go. All right, good. That was, excellent question.
I'll let you know, Eric.
Yeah. Any other public comments? All right. Anything else from council before we vote? Tell you what, first of all, I'm going to close the public hearing. Public hearing is now closed. Yep.
But, Johnny, we know how much they generally cost, right?
They
Didn't we
vary,
talk about it?
they do, they depend on what quality of one that you get. They can be anywhere from $65 to $500.
Okay.
And it depends on if you're going to try to do it yourself or if you're going to hire
Sure.
a contractor.
Okay, I just remembered it not
Yes.
seeming like an onerous cost in the context of
They are
a large
cheap.
repair.
They are cheaper to install them as
Yeah.
you're doing a project versus, hey, I need one, I'm going to dig it up, and that's the only thing.
And we're not requiring anybody to dig it up. It's only.
It's only if they decide to
Yeah.
do a new sewer lateral or fix a lateral or new construction. New construction, it is required.
So, like in that example, if you're
that example,
fixing up your basement, you don't have to
he
put
does
one
not
in
have
and
to
fix
do
up the
it,
basement. If you want to, you can,
Correct.
but that's up to you.
Correct. Yes.
So given the Spring Meadows, some houses haven't been built yet.
As soon as you pass this and as soon as the solicitor tells me, they will be required.
Okay, good enough. All righty. Again, the public hearing has been opened and is closed. If there's nothing else from council, Judy, if you could do the voice vote, please. Roll call.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ausch.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your participation. Judy, if you could read by title only, ordinance 2025-21.
This is repealing and replacing Chapter 1284 definitions of the codified ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs.
Can I get a motion and a second to discuss?
So moved. Second.
All right. Yeah. If you're sitting there, I'm going to expect you to get up.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Meg Leatherman, Planning and Economic Development Director. This is just to add a few definitions that, in practice, I've realized that people ask, and it could be helpful if we had them. It's for deck, floodplain administrator, and low attached deck. Their Planning Commission voted for O to approve it on September 9th. There was a first reading with the council on October 6th, and there's still the options. You have to hold a public hearing, and then the same options for adopting, denying, amending, sending back.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Meg. Council, any questions for Meg? Okay. All right, for ordinance 2025-21, the public hearing is now open. This is where you all have the public has the opportunity to come up and share their comments and concerns regarding this piece of legislation. Once again, the public hearing is now open. Any public comments? All right, seeing no activity, the public hearing is now closed. Judy?
Ausch.
Yep.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your participation. That motion has passed. Now, Judy, if you could read by title only, ordinance 2025-22.
Repealing and replacing Chapter 1268 site plan review of the zoning code for the Village of Yellow Springs.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Meg,
All right,
let's go.
Meg again, village staff, Planning and Economic Development Director. Planning Commission approved this one for O as well on September 9th, and the first reading was with Village Council on October 6th. Mainly, this is an administrative cleanup of the site plan review section of the code to remove unclear statements and clarify the type of application that is, the type of, when site plan application, that type, specific type, is required to be submitted to the village for review and consideration, because we have other types. We have a zoning permit type, and we have a site plan type, so clarifying when those types are required. And then the amendment clarifies when different types of uses are exempt from site plan review. Right now, it's kind of not very direct and clear as to when site plan review is exempted from an application, so that this hopefully clarifies that. Council has the same options. They need to hold a public hearing and then the 4 different options.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much, Meg. Any questions from council for Meg? All right. Regarding ordinance 2025-22, public hearing is now open. This is where you have the opportunity to come up and share your comments and concerns regarding this particular piece of legislation. Are there any public comments? All right, seeing no activity, the public hearing is now closed. And Judy, if you could do a roll call vote.
Brown.
Yes.
Bausch.
Yes?
Laura Leonard.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Alrighty. We're now down to reading Resolution 2025-55. Judy, you feel like reading that in full?
I don't know, do you feel like hearing it in full? I just work here, so I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good either way.
All right. See, we're all familiar with this, so if you could just read that by title only, that'd be good.
Okay, this is honoring the legacy of Wheeling Gaunt and approving the annual distribution of flour and sugar to village widows and widowers.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right. Is there need for comment?
I believe not. It's
Okay. It's,
Make one comment, there's one thing I've noticed about it.
yeah, Phil, yeah.
My name's Scott Ostrom, and Johnny's aware of this situation too. I brought it to his attention. Can we broaden that? Because we actually have widows that are just outside Yellow Springs proper, like Mrs. Peterson, 80-year-old widower, who raised their kids. All their kids went to Yellow Springs schools. And they get left out of the program from what I'm understanding now.
Good point.
So I'd like to see them included in this. And that's all.
Because your staff is...
Yeah, we're the ones that deliver it, so I'm going to leave it to council.
So, I don't know, Mrs. Peterson, how far are we
Well,
talking?
I think you need a policy, and so let's talk about it offline and then figure
Bring
out a
back some
policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just something I want y'all to be aware of.
Yeah,
Yep.
appreciate you. So, council, do we want to just pass this as is and then fix it later?
Yeah, I'd like to bring it back. I
Okay.
think that makes,
Yep.
You want to bring the policy back, right? But you need to pass this
Yes.
so that we can
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
pass out.
So,
Yes.
so we're going to vote on this and then we'll work on the policy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Excellent.
All right.
All those in favor?
All right. Is that what
Sounds
you're
like it.
doing?
All
I
right.
heard it really lightly.
Yes, well, and this is one of the best pieces of legislation we get to pass every year.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Cool.
All right, good enough. That being said, all those in favor of passing this piece of legislation, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. Thank you very much for your participation. We're now moving to citizen concerns. This is typically where members of the public get to come up, identify yourself, talk about almost anything you want. We are asking, because we do know there's a lot of interest regarding Short Street, we would ask that you hold any comments regarding Short Street until after we hear a special report that's on the agenda. So again, Short Street comments will be taken after the staff report regarding Short Street. So if you have any other citizens' concerns, now is the time to come up. Same 3-minute clock for whatever comments you might have. So come on up, please identify yourself, your relationship to the village, and you are on the clock. Ask that you be respectful of the clock and other comments that have been made by other residents.
Hi, my name is Jacinta Williams. I live on Whitehall Drive at the corner of Fair Acres and Whitehall. As you can see, I'm, impaired, with mobility. And a few times, some cars have come flying around that corner. One young man almost hit me as I was crossing the street to get to my car. They're looking at their GPSs. They're making deliveries. They're not paying any attention. and he backed up and apologized. Another time, there was a very close call, and I followed this young man after he made a delivery to somebody's house, to a neighbor's house, and I backed him up. I said, you're going to have to slow down because they're not paying any attention. So I would ask that that particular corner in that area to have some signage out there that there's elderly, and we have a young family coming up with some new children coming up in our household, tottering around, and we watch them very carefully, but somebody could be walking down the street and somebody's looking at the GPS to make a delivery and not paying any attention. So I just wanted to bring that up to the council, that maybe we could have some signage out there to just encourage people to slow down right at that corner going into that Whitehall Drive area, that little community back in there, because it gets a little hairy with people flying up and down Whitehall Drive and those other neighboring streets. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Good enough. Any other citizen concerns?
Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Paolela. I'm a resident of Yellow Springs and a brand-new business owner in town as well. Good evening, council members, administration, neighbors, and friends. I'm here tonight to ask council to take real action, not to just make a statement, but to ban the harmful and discredited practice of conversion therapy on minors in Yellow Springs. Conversion therapy isn't therapy, it's abuse. According to the Ohio Capitol Journal, conversion therapy, sometimes called reparative therapy, can range from talk therapy and religious counseling to electrical shocks, pain-inducing aversion therapy, and physical isolation. It has been widely discredited by medical groups. We know it doesn't work, we know it causes harm, and we know it endangers LGBTQ youth who already face higher risks of depression, anxiety, and suicide. And yet it's still legal in most of Ohio. Over a dozen cities have stepped up to protect their young people. They didn't wait for the state. They didn't wait for someone else to take the lead. They acted because protecting kids shouldn't depend on politics or court cases. And I know that Yellow Springs can do the same. This village has always been a safe haven. It's why many of us are here. It's a place where people can live authentically, where we can look out for one another, and where minorities are not just tolerated, we're embraced. Passing a ban would put those values into action. I understand there may be concern about a pending Supreme Court case considering this issue. The court could reverse, or it could solidify state laws across the country that ban this controversial practice, but there is no legal barrier before us tonight. Choosing not to act now would send the wrong message. It would say to our LGBTQ youth, we're waiting to see if you deserve protection. And I can't accept that. I'm not asking for a symbolic resolution or a feel-good statement about who we are. We've said who we are over and over. What I'm asking for is a ban with consequences, something that says clearly, not here and not to our kids. We already have resources ready. There are statewide social justice organizations who can help us with the details and the specific legal language. And what we need now is courage, the courage to act even when the path isn't entirely clear. Yellow Springs has always been a light in Ohio. Let's make sure that light continues to shine, not just in our words, but in what and who we're willing to stand up for. And I do not believe what I'm proposing is controversial in Yellow Springs. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. Scott.
I just like to say, my name's Scott Ostrom, and I just like to say I'm in full support of this anti-conversion therapy. To me, it's just like, so where it's legal torture of children. You know, we don't like child abuse. We don't like torture. I think this goes with the moral value of our community. I mean, at worst, it's disgusting, and at its best, it's barbaric. And I would totally support a codified ordinance banning it with some sort of punishment if they try to pull it here, if someone wants to do it on it, because to me, that's just child abuse. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like a chance to respond briefly.
Sure.
So, Yes. And also, here is the advisory statement on sexual orientation change efforts from the Ohio Board of Psychology. Consensus statements from across the behavioral health community indicate that persons who identify as homosexual, bisexual, and/or transgender are not, per se, suffering from a psychological problem or mental disorder, and interventions, sometimes referred to as conversion therapy and sexual orientation change efforts targeted at changing a person's sexual orientation or gender identity, are contraindicated and can be harmful, especially when imposed on youth. Second paragraph. Professional consensus and expert opinion in part establish the standards of acceptable practices in psychology. Avoiding harm is the cornerstone of psychological ethics. Existing laws and rules governing psychologists and school psychologists provide a basis by which targeting conversion therapy at minors could result in charges of misconduct and disciplinary action against the license, including but not limited to, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen to you if you practice it. So right now I'm going to speak on behalf of the clergy in this town, some of whom are very close friends, and I'm also going to speak on behalf of our mental health professionals, licensed social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists, clinical psychiatrists. I will say that not at any time in the history of this village, past, present, or in the future, has this been an accepted way of, it's not accepted. And so, given that this is primarily something that happens and we religious groups participate with, I know that no clergy that I know in this village, past, present, or future, would ever condone harming and abusing children. So I want to get that out. And I also want to speak, like I said, to our mental health professionals. Not one that I know would ever condone this and would ever practice it. The reason why this kind of legislation is passing in larger communities is because in Cleveland, they need it. And I'm not saying that we don't need it, but we cannot enforce it. And I'm not saying that I am against passing this kind of legislation, because the ceasefire legislation I passed in Gaza didn't stop what was happening in Gaza. And also, I really want to impress upon everyone here that my friends that are social workers and my friends that are clergy would never, ever, ever, not in a million years, do something to harm anyone, especially our kids. And I wanted to speak to that. And I understand where everybody is coming from, and also I want to know what this says to our clergy and mental health professionals. Like, how does this legislation affect?
Can I respond to that? Or does someone propose it?
So let me just say what I didn't say. During citizen concerns, the expectation should not exist that you would get a response from council. And we also want to not have a lot of back and forth during these times. But I will, leaning over to see Amy's face. There you are. I just know there's been some behind staff considerations of this. Is there anything you can say, either?
Well, there's a lot to say about this, Kevin. The problem boils down to enforcement. A lot of the communities in Ohio, some of the communities in Ohio that have enacted these bans do have criminal penalties on them. But a lot of the communities that have these bans have civil penalties on them. We don't have a civil fines. We don't have a civil citation process here in the village. And we also don't have like a human relations council, to my knowledge, that would a lot of the communities, it gets kicked to a Human Relations Council if it's an unlawful discriminatory practice. So the problem here is enforcement and what it would look like.
Right. Already, I'm saying.
I want to say that I was not intending to imply that anyone is practicing conversion therapy. I'm saying I don't want it to come to here.
Gotcha. So I don't know which of these hands, let's go with Rebecca, maybe. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, was it not you, Rebecca, that raised your?
No.
Okay.
Actually, a question.
Okay.
She did. I'm April Wolfert. I'm a longtime community member, leader on the leadership team of the Rainbow Alliance of Yellow Springs, which was the formerly PFLAG group that started off as an LGBTQIA support group, and also with the YS Pride Planning Committee. So I want to speak in support of this also. I mean, I think consideration and working through things like this is a good idea. What are the consequences of, of people or organizations that fall outside of some of the laws or rules we have? And as Alyssa said, I mean, I don't think that anybody is saying that there are folks in the community who are doing this now, but there could be somebody who moved into the area or a therapy practice who wanted to move into the area who at this point wouldn't have any reason or couldn't, or could start a conversion therapy ban. As the information that Alyssa sent and information out there shows that when these bans are enacted, suicide attempts increase sometimes to 70%. So the messaging is very cruel about who you are and that you're not who you are, so be the right kind of person. And of course, you guys all agree with that. But I really think that you should consider this as a law and as perhaps as a template for how you might move forward with other kinds of values concerns.
Thank you, April.
Hi, I'm Gary Greenberg, resident of the village, and just a note, maybe a suggestion about how to proceed on the legal aspect of this. I believe Alyssa mentioned in her article that an organization called Equality Ohio consults on this. They claim credit for many of these conversion therapy bans around the state. They are primarily an organization of lawyers, and I believe they are available to talk to communities about the legal ramifications of these kind of bans. And I would suggest that we invite them to present so that we understand a little more about the legalities. I'm not a lawyer, but I feel a lot for all the LGBTQ members who are so horribly impacted by the kind of legislations coming out of the state legislature. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Potter. I'm school board president, but the school board hasn't discussed this issue, so I'm not speaking on behalf of them. But I do have, to Carmen's point, there have been a lot of policies that have come from the state regulating schools on these issues, including one that would allow groups to come to the schools. So I would also be interested in finding out how this legislation could help the district navigate that. And I understand the issues of enforcement, but it's just a good conversation to have, to how if the village passed such an ordinance or something, how it could assist schools to protect students. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I'll pick it up with the superintendent and share with you what we find.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca.
Hello, this is Judith Hempling, a resident. I just want to say whether whether it's difficult to enforce or not is not a reason not to support it, I don't believe. When you think historically about laws in states that were just horrific for large groups of people, small groups of people. If there was an effort to challenge those laws, the fact that they maybe wouldn't have been legal in that state or whatever, it still shows a level. I still think that's how change happens. And so I would really encourage you to do the research and set aside the legalities and do what's right on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith.
I wanted to add really quickly, I'm not anti the legislation. I'm not anti the legislation, so I'm not. Like, that's not what I'm saying. It's like,
There was a mention of a human relations
HRC.
Yeah, it's a
whole other thing.
Yeah, it was a board of commission. It's on hiatus. It's on hiatus right now. Yeah. So, well, about the HRC, the Human Relations Commission, it's a existing commission, but again, it's on hiatus for various reasons. There will be a new council here in a couple of months, and
Well, HRC, as it was, never addressed the stuff that Amy was talking about as far as enforceability. It didn't. And Amy, will you just restate what you said?
Some communities, for example, the city of Dayton, has a very robust human relations council, and in the codified ordinances, call out unlawful discriminatory practices in employment, in housing, something along these lines. And then those complaints can be filed with the HRC.
Right.
But those communities also typically have a civil citation process in place so that all the enforcement can happen within the confines of the city government, instead of filing a criminal violation in court.
And we
Does
don't
that help?
have that in place here.
We don't have that structure. We do not have a civil citation process in place.
is that a heavy lift to put something? I imagine it would be.
Yes, it's a heavy lift to establish a civil citation process. You have to have a hearing officer and if a full-fledged civil citation ordinance, it can be done. That's a whole different conversation, I suppose, as to whether or not the village would want to explore something like that.
Yep. Judy, were you going to say something?
I'm saying that could be put on your goals for a future thing, but right now, it's probably time to move on because we're not solving this problem right now.
But I think bringing back legislation on this makes sense. I think the HRC, as you mentioned, Kevin, there are a lot
Bringing
of
back
different
legislation
reasons.
on this, and let's just leave the HRC where it lie right now.
Exactly.
Well, if you guys are okay with unenforceable legislation, but I find it to be patronizing, and I feel that very personally that it's patronizing, but that's my position.
Your position very clear in my emails to council.
So,
We're good.
again,
We're not fighting. Let's not fight.
Yeah, we're all good.
I can't. I don't have the
We're all good.
bandwidth.
We're all good. We can bring this up as a subject in terms of, wanting to do some research and thinking about doing what's right. We have the appetite for discussing this later in a different venue. Okay, good enough. We can do that. All right, are there any other citizen concerns?
Me again. Eric Clark, lifelong resident of Yellow Springs, and I do have at-risk youth for this type of a scenario. A couple of years ago, never would have thought that I would be standing here talking about the possibility of having to look at legislation to keep somebody with an unusual view on how my children should be brought up in this world. And I think that what I want to mention is that I don't think it hurts to have a legislation on the books. A lot of legislation is written just in case. And I think this is a scenario where it could be a just in case. And I look similarly at all of these speed indicators in town. They don't take your picture, they don't issue you a ticket, but they're there as a reminder that we expect certain values from our drivers. And legislation like this could give other people just pause to go, okay, let's pick some low-lying fruit and leave Yellow Springs alone. We just won't come in and try and establish our personal beliefs when it comes to trying to do some sort of conversion therapy. And I personally don't think it would hurt to have that sitting there just in case, even if it's not that enforceable. We're just reminding people, speed limit's 25. And if you think it's better to go 40, drive somewhere else. Thank you.
Eric. Any additional citizen concerns? As we move forward, any other comments from council? Okay. Thank you all for your participation. We value your civic engagement. And if you didn't hear, we did have a little conversation up here, and we will consider next steps. We want to do good at whatever we do, but we have taken this under advisement. So we will have further discussions about it. So if there are no other citizen concerns, we are going to move on to our special report, and our special report will be presented by our staff, Lisa Giardulo, who will give us a special report regarding the Short Street survey presentation. And once again, we will be taking questions, if there are any, from the public regarding Short Street and the presentation that will be presented. So Elise, you have the floor and the screen.
Does she? Oh, there it is.
Nice. Okay, good to go, Ben. Cool. Good evening, everyone. Elise Giardulo, Assistant Village Manager. So the village recently conducted a survey to better understand how people view and experience the community space at Short Street, the pilot pedestrian space near the core of downtown. So tonight I'll be sharing the key findings from that survey, what we learned from residents, businesses, and visitors about how the space is being used and how it's perceived. In June of this year, the village launched the community space at Short Street as a pilot project, temporarily closing the street to vehicle traffic. The space includes benches, picnic tables with shade, a shade tent, fairy lights, and bike racks, all intended to create a comfortable, welcoming area for people to gather downtown. The goal was to support local businesses and enhance downtown activity by encouraging people to spend more time in the area. Now that the space has been in place for a few months, the village wanted to understand how people feel about it, what's working well, and where there might be opportunities to improve. To do this, we conducted a community survey open to anyone who had interacted with or observed the space, whether they had personally used it or not. Getting into a few of the survey itself, we ran it from September 19th through October 13th, giving us just under a month to collect feedback. We had 969 total responses, which is a strong turnout for our community. It was conducted online through SurveyMonkey and included 6 closed questions and 1 open-ended question for comments. We shared it widely through YS Connect, the official village app. If you don't have it, I suggest downloading it. Village social media, the village website, flyers around town, and ads in the Yellow Springs News. Anyone could participate, and no personal information was collected unless voluntarily provided. I applied statistical significance testing at a p-value of 0.05. So in simple terms, this means there's a 95% chance that the differences we see between groups are real and not random. It gives us confidence that the trends in the data reflect genuine differences in how people feel about the space. Lastly, we also checked for data integrity. Cookies limited multiple submissions, and while some shared IP addresses appeared, for example, people using the same Wi-Fi network, no concerning patterns were found. So a quick note on statistical significance. So it helps us see how different groups feel about the space and whether those differences are likely real or just due to chance. So in simple terms, the patterns we observe are 95% likely to reflect true differences in the surveyed population. So really what this means, if we were to run this survey again under the same exact conditions, we'd expect to see similar results. This 95% confidence threshold is the industry standard for market research reports like this. It does sometimes drop down to 90, but I wanted to keep it at 95. So keep in mind, this survey reflects only those who responded, not the entire community. Most groups have enough responses to be reliable, but I do want to call out that the Gen Z subgroup is small. It's under 30. So we had 21 total Gen Z respondents. So we should interpret those results with caution. So before we dive into the results, I just want to do a quick note on how to read the charts that we are going to see throughout this. So each group is assigned a letter. So in this example, kids are A, teens are B, adults are C, and seniors are D. So when a capital letter appears on a segment, it shows that the group represented by that segment is statistically higher than the groups indicated by the letter or letters. So for example, on the chart here, we have kids with a D next to 60% on apples. So this means that kids rate apples higher than seniors. Teens and adults also have a D on apples, which means kids, teens, and adults all rate apples statistically higher than seniors. As you will see, seniors have an A, B, and C on bananas, showing that seniors rate bananas higher than kids, teens, and adults. So this system lets us quickly see which groups have statistically higher responses compared to others. Any questions on any of that before we move on? All clear? Okay.
Thank you.
So before I go, I do want to highlight a piece of community art. So Travis Hoteling, a member of village staff, actually painted this mural. And one survey respondent mentioned that they weren't sure what the inspiration was. So I'm here to tell you that the theme is yellow things. So thank you, Travis, for the beautiful art. Okay, let's start with the key findings from the survey. So a quick note, when I use words like more or more likely, that is referring to statistically significant differences. So use and support go hand in hand. Respondents who have spent time in the space are more likely to see its benefits and support making it permanent, while non-users are less certain. This highlights the importance of engagement and awareness. Generational differences shape perceptions. Younger generations, Gen Z, Millennials, and Gen X, generally see the space as more beneficial and support making it permanent. Baby boomers and older respondents are more critical. Balancing benefits and challenges. The space is valued as a hub for gatherings, but concerns remain about parking, traffic, and aesthetics. Some suggestions, like seasonal or event-based use, show a desire for compromise. And finally, perceptions vary by location. Respondents living in Yellow Springs and Miami Township recognize the benefits, but also note impacts on parking and traffic. Those living outside the area are even more likely to view the space positively and support making it permanent. Now let's take a look at a few key metrics at the total level, meaning the responses of everyone combined before breaking them into subgroups. So, usage. 55% of respondents have used the community space in some way, such as spending time there or attending an event, while 45% have not. Perceived benefit. A majority, 53%, see the space as beneficial to the community, 31% do not, and 16% are unsure. Support for making permanent. A plurality, 47%, support making the space permanent, 42% do not, and 11% are unsure. So these numbers really give us a baseline understanding of how people feel overall about the space before we look at differences between groups. Okay, now we turn to the quantitative or closed-ended survey questions. So these were the first 6 questions in the survey, all single choice selections, where respondents picked the answer that best reflected their experience or opinion. On these slides, you'll see insights at the top, charted data in the middle, and base sizes in the footnote below. So the base sizes show how many people responded to each question, which is the denominator for the percentages that you see. So this footnote in particular, which I know is hard to see on these screens, but this is in the packet so that you can zoom in a bit. This footnote in particular also includes generation definitions. So age groups can be defined in different ways. This is the approach that I used. So Gen Z is anyone 24 years or younger. Millennials are anyone aged 25 to 44. Gen X is 45 to 54 years old. and baby boomers and above is 55 and up. So, most respondents are older Yellow Springs residents with additional input from Miami Township and other areas. While the majority neither work nor own a business in Yellow Springs, some are local business owners or employees, giving us additional perspectives. Just over half of respondents, 55%, have used the community space. Millennials and Gen X are more likely to have used the space than baby boomers plus. So on the chart, the D on millennials and Gen X indicates that their usage is statistically higher than baby boomers plus. Conversely, 51% of baby boomers plus have not used the space, which is statistically higher than non-usage among millennials and Gen X. More than half of respondents feel the community space can be beneficial. Gen Z, millennials, and Gen X see the space as beneficial at higher rates than baby boomers plus, indicating statistically significant differences between these age groups. So to break it down, 67% of Gen Z, 69% of millennials, and 63% of Gen X say the space is beneficial, compared with 44% of baby boomers plus. I would say it's worth noting here that a plurality of baby boomers plus, 44%, still view the space as beneficial. Residents of Yellow Springs and Miami Township generally view the community space as beneficial. Non-residents or people living elsewhere are even more likely to see the space positively. Business and nonprofit owners also tend to recognize greater benefits compared with non-local workers. A plurality of respondents, 47%, support making the community space permanent. Gen Z, millennials, and Gen X are more supportive than baby boomers plus, showing statistically significant differences between these age groups. To break it down, 67% of Gen Z, 62% of millennials, and 58% of Gen X support making the space permanent, compared with 39% of baby boomers plus. Respondents living outside Yellow Springs and Miami Township are more likely to support making the community space permanent than local residents. When looking at occupational involvement, business owners, nonprofit leaders, local workers, and non-local workers, support levels are similar among these groups, meaning no statistically significant differences were found. There's a clear connection here between using this space and how respondents view it. So users, respondents who have used the space, are more likely to see the space as beneficial and support making it permanent, while non-users are less certain. So to break it down, 78% of users see the space as beneficial, compared with 22% of non-users. Similarly, 70% of users support making it permanent, compared with 19% of non-users. Now we'll switch to the qualitative analysis, which comes from the 7th and final survey question. This was an open-ended question which allowed respondents to type out their comments and feedback with no character limit. Reviewing these responses gave us insight into specific thoughts, suggestions, and concerns that don't appear in the quantitative data that we just reviewed. This slide shows the breakdown of top themes from the open-ended comments. So at the top of each bar, you'll see the total percentages of comments that mentioned that topic. The leading topic was parking and space improvements at 27%, followed by traffic flow at 24%. Inside the bars, the colors indicate sentiment. So positive for green, neutral or balanced for the gray, balanced meaning it could be both positive and negative commentary, or negative in red. Respondents shared a range of perspectives. Concerns focused on parking loss, traffic impacts, and suggestions to make the space more inviting. 16% of respondents also voiced concern over usage of the space, noting that it is rarely used or occupied. Positive comments highlighted appreciation for having a place for community gatherings, and that's that big chunk of green that you're seeing under community gathering. Finally, this slide shows the sentiment of open-ended comments by generation. So Gen Z is generally supportive with suggestions to improve accessibility, design, and safety. Millennials see high potential but want more shade, events, and permanent activities, while noting traffic and parking concerns. Some suggest seasonal or enhanced use. Gen X values a safe, inviting space with shade, seating, and programming, emphasizing thoughtful design and management. Seasonal use, greenery, and curated events could strengthen the space. Baby Boomers Plus expressed mixed to critical views. While some see potential as a town square and enjoy occasional events, concerns include lost parking, traffic, limited daily use, and winter underutilization. Alternative locations or improved nearby parks were suggested by some. There are several additional slides included in the appendix, but for the sake of time, I won't be going through those tonight, but they are available in the packet for anyone that would like to view them. There's some quotes and some extra data points. So that concludes the overview of the survey finding. All of these slides, again, are available in the packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
First of all, thank you for a very informative presentation.
Absolutely.
Did a great job differentiating between the quantitative versus qualitative information. One thing, and I am a baby boomer. Plus. Yeah. And, but I am supportive, and I'm probably in the qualitative, maybe said something about, wondered about the winter use. But I'm overall supportive. So one of the slides, or maybe a couple slides, mentioned awareness, and I wondered while you were presenting, might the responses have been different if there were more awareness? And when I say awareness, it's not just, okay, this thing it's down there and I heard about it, but more information about the events, planned. I don't think I used the word curated, but that's what I was thinking. And I don't know to what degree, how sustainable the closure could be from a staff perspective in terms of keeping things going and adding some of the amenities that folks ask about. I know I'm asking a lot or saying a lot, but I feel that it's an overall positive, but perhaps needs some tweaking. And I think that awareness thing is letting everybody know everything there is to know about maybe the costs and how we're going to support it, who's providing the programming. Certainly that's a word I know I used, to talk about the programming and ensuring that folks knew what to anticipate. So I don't even know if there was a clear question there, other than maybe do we know in advance some of the high points, some of the things we could touch on that would really swing the pendulum more favorably in the positive direction?
I think this slide does a good job at that, really honing in on what the specific concerns are. Of course, we have parking up there, and you see quite a bit of red there, right? So quite a lot of concern about lost parking in the space. Calls for space improvements right there next to it, right, at 27%. So not as negative, but people seeing that there's room for improvement, right, and calling that out. Traffic flow, so lots of discussion around just how it has negatively impacted people's experience being downtown, with Short Street being closed. Usage of space, again, calling into question, when I see it, it's not being used. There's not a lot of people using it. And businesses as well. So there was quite a lot of discussion about business impact, either directly from business owners that were in the comments or people and their perception of how businesses may be negatively impacted by it. So I would say, yeah, honing in on some of these things, the parking and the space improvements would certainly go a long way.
Okay. There's some questions I would maybe ask Johnny offline, but I'll ask staff, council, if we have any comments or questions.
I didn't do the survey because I wanted to see what the survey results were. I wanted to see take the temperature on the community and see what people were thinking about it. Very thorough. So
lots of data.
So lots of data. Left brain math person. Yeah. And I appreciate that. But it was really interesting to see. One of the things that I have noticed with the space is that we have a lot of people who are tourists, or some people call guests, that come to the village to patronize the businesses and restaurants. Before the space, everyone's kind of roving around in groups and not stopping anywhere. You know, they'll hit the restaurant and then hit the shops and then keep making that circuit. I have seen several instances, you know, especially when the weather got cooler enough for people to appreciate standing in the sun. Lots of families, kids, using that space to take a break before their next round of shopping or before leaving to go back to, you know, back home or whatever. And I did appreciate, I appreciate that because, like I said, you know, having at one point, having had young children and taking care of people who are non-ambulatory or different degrees of ambulation, I saw people who got a chance to stop and relax for a while. I appreciate that with the space.
No, I mean, I would like to share thoughts, but we're doing the public comment here, right? I'd be interested in hearing what people think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. All righty. So just like any other public hearing for legislation, because we do know that there's a great deal of interest in the space, we do want to open the floor for folks who'd like to comment. So, but, yep.
Hi, I'm Jacinta Williams, again, resident, live on Whitehall Drive. The only reason I never used that area is I haven't checked it out much recently, but you know they say that there's shade there, and I didn't see much shade. I mean, I don't like baking in the sun. I mean, it's I tend to hang out at Tom's on those benches and stuff, and I can gauge, stay out of the sun or be in the sun. But there isn't. The last time I looked, there doesn't seem to be much shade. You've got tables with the little umbrellas over them and stuff like that, but there isn't a whole lot of shade. Now, it may not be much of a issue this time of year, but in the summertime, there was no way in the world I was going to sit out there and cook. But it does seem to be developing since the last time I looked at it and stuff. I've been to some events down there, and I've passed up and down the street there. I like to poke around downtown, and I've seen some big events down there with a lot of young people having an absolute ball, just having a good time. So I like the way it's being used, but I think that some more shade availability, especially in the summertime, would probably encourage me and my family to go down there. I don't mind sitting by Tom's. That's pretty cool. But I might be more interested in hanging around down there if there was more shade, especially in the summertime. I wasn't going to do anything like that this past summer. So that was the only comment I wanted to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyone else? Yes.
I'm Stephanie. I'm a resident here in Yellow Springs.
Give your last name too, please.
Stephanie Pierce, sorry. In addition to the traffic issue, so I work downtown. On my days off, I'm also just downtown. I shop at Tom's. So the traffic is an issue. It's not just about the parking spaces that are there. The parking spaces, it's more than just, I don't know, 14 spaces or however many there. Those spaces turn over all day. So they count for more than just 14 spaces. But Tom's is becoming even more of a cut through for people. The parking at Tom's is getting more difficult. Someone in the newspaper put a thing in the paper, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but where he went around town and counted all the spaces. And he actually counted Tom's parking lot as public parking. So I think that that's kind of ridiculous to consider that as a substitute. the things that are going on there are not community-friendly all the time. If you look, I've never seen any of you guys take your lunch break there, and I'm there all day, and it's pretty empty all the time. And when there are people there, it's the people that are storing their things there, and it's unhoused people. There's tons of trash there all the time, and I think Johnny knows that they saw me taking pictures and picking up trash, and then you brought a crew in after I was there for about 15 minutes picking up the trash myself to help finish doing that. But that was the third time that I'd picked up trash, and that was the first time I tried to say, okay, I'm going to use this space, and we used it with my other job to collect books. But every time I went there, I had to go pick up trash. So it's being forgotten about. I feel like it's another space that plans have been made, and it's being neglected. And there's resources that are needed, and so that's budgeting that needs to go into that, no one's picking up the trash. I don't know who's in charge of that. And there's the weird mop that keeps reappearing, and I watched you guys throw it away, and it comes back out, and it's like a mascot for the space. So I don't know, yeah. Yeah, the mop. And there were plans made to improve the Betty Hughes Park. We have these nice shady green spaces already in town, these parks that we can encourage people to use. They're already there. They're not taking away from the residents. And a lot of this talk is about getting tourists to go to there. And I think putting tourists in front of our day-to-day navigation, our bank parking, which doesn't exist anymore, that's completely gone. The employees parking had to move and take up the customer parking, so there's no bank parking at all. There's just a lot of things that I think go into it that the input should have been put in first rather than it just happening to us instead of happening with us. The events, I've attended the events, they're great, but it doesn't, on Tuesday morning, we don't need to shut down, Short Street because of something, you're going to have an event 3 weeks from now on a Saturday night. It just, I think it's very...
That's your time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Judy. All right, anyone else? Yep, come up, identify yourself and your relationship to the village.
I'm Jackie Clark, and I've lived here for however long we've been married. I don't remember, 16, 17 years. Anyway, but I grew up in Cedarville and I've been over here all the time, so I feel like I've been here forever. I'm in support of Short Street. We've had a lot of fun there as a family. We've gone down there. We've never had any problem finding parking, even our little golf cart or in our car. And the events have been great. We think that, the whole idea of turning out of the bank is, more dangerous. So it helps with the whole driving and going around more safely. But I've also seen the unhoused there, and it's been a little awkward trying to get a table and sitting somewhere else and, moving around. So that has been a concern, but they live wherever they can live. So, it's going to be what it's going to be. I don't know. I do see both sides of it, but we have enjoyed it. It reminds me of being in Europe and different, walking areas downtown in those beautiful cities over there, and that you can grab your food and eat, and I love it. And going to Betty Hughes is farther away, and I just think right downtown is nice having that area. So, anyway.
All right, thank you.
And I represent both whatever 55 and younger and 55 and older.
All right, that's a new twist. When you identify yourself, you got to give your age. No,
Right.
I'm joking, don't do that. Yeah, we're all good. Any more comments? Oh, okay.
Matthew Kirk, village resident, Southview Drive, also downtown business owner. I want to first say I thought everything Stephanie said was pretty excellent and on point. I think part of it really starts with what she said about the inputs. A lot of the planning for a project like this, happens and takes months, and you involve lots of stakeholders and really build input and support. You recognize early on in those kind of things the need for things like programming, which we didn't recognize until August, and I think the Little Art unveiling kind of inspired some of that too. So those were good learning experiences. And again, I think as a temporary space, it historically has been used too. So that wasn't even necessarily something new. That was something we, I think kind of realized that maybe there was more demand for that kind of thing than we originally had thought existed in the community. And so that may be something to, make note of, and maybe that's something that happens on Short Street. Maybe if Short Street doesn't move forward, maybe there's another place in the village something like that can take place, right? With respect to what we're talking about here tonight, I think there were really some missed opportunities as far as collecting data on this project. We didn't collect any real-time data. Nobody went by and said, we've had these complaints that nobody's using it during the day. Let's go out there and check out and see, is that true? Is that accurate? Have somebody count up how many people are there for lunch, on whatever days. And, if that's the case, then maybe you try to come up with some solution to drive people there or whatever, but we didn't do any of that. Even when we chose to do the survey, we asked people whether they used the park or not, right? But we define user as just anybody who used it either one time or 50 times. It could be the same person. So, we looked at the one chart that had all the things, and we saw huge, people love the community gathering. And from my observations, it seems like that's when most people actually utilize this space, was when we had those get-togethers. Because again, on a day-to-day basis, and I'm back and forth across that park, 4 to 6 times a day usually, and there's just really no activity going on there. And so we didn't really collect the data to let us know to say, hey, is this great as an event space? Is this a great everyday space all day long? And, really interpret how people are using the space. And again, I just think that's a missed opportunity, and it's hard for you as council members to look at what we have and, make especially a decision about something being permanent, right? Because what does permanent in a space like that even consist of? I would imagine people wouldn't want it to be blacktop. So you're going to tear out the blacktop and put brick in? That's pretty expensive. People want shade. The most natural type of shade is trees, right? Those take a long time to install. And again, it's just, we're talking about doing something, but we have no idea what does permanent even look like, right? So to be asked to make a decision like that and not know that, and then also not know how much the park was being utilized and how it was being utilized, how can you make an effective plan with that type of information? So I would like to encourage you guys maybe just to, maybe do a do-over. Maybe say, you know what, we kind of rolled this project out quickly the last time, and we didn't plan for it, and we kind of just did it on the fly as we went, and you did learn some things, but maybe you take a second swing at the, ball and are able to actually come up with a plan that does drive that daytime activity. Because to me, in order to justify it as being permanent, it needs to be a space that's in usage throughout. It can't just be a special event space, or it can just be a special event space, right? And then we, just turn it back to normal usage. I did think it was important to note that the schools mentioned, and that wasn't brought up tonight, that there was some safety improvements. And I use the word safety with a little bit of caution because I think it's important to note that none of these intersections were unsafe before. It wasn't like we had a huge number of accidents or anything like that. And I get some of them can be chaotic, but as far as actual numbers to say this is safe or unsafe, I'm not aware of any traffic, anything that would indicate that any of this stuff impacted was unsafe before this project happened. But I think what we can do if we were to get rid of Short Street to still keep the school situation good is if you make the turn from Short Street to Walnut right turn only, that eliminates the people turning left into the drop-off line, which is where things get a little hairy at school drop-off there. So if you keep the traffic going right and you just have an officer, you can train these adults. They will learn not to go that way. So that's an alternative if we choose to open Short Street back up. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Any other comments on Short Street? Council?
Well, yeah. Excuse me. So I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of good, sort of comments made. I think Kevin, you referenced several of the things that that I would echo as well. The biggest piece is it would be great to have a plan to just know. We don't know right now how much would it cost, what would it look like, who does manage it. It does feel like it just It did. It just felt like a slow rollout where you had a lot of questions about how are these things going to play out. And so, I don't know, this idea of like a do-over or some kind of, acknowledgement that what we need is a plan. We just need to know what is it that we expect to happen? How is it that, and I think there's legitimate complex questions like, around what's going to happen in the seasons where the weather is pretty intense. I don't think that people would expect there to be a lot of people outside. But then, I don't know, maybe if we put mist tents in and we have beautiful, big trees and, nice, comfortable places to sit, maybe that would change the dynamics of how many people would come. I honestly don't know. So I think it's interesting. I think I fall pretty much right where most of the data would put my millennial self, which is like, I generally support it conceptually with an idea that I have in my mind, but that I don't know whether we're going to do or not. And I think it seemed like there's a lot of people that are saying, hey, I'm open to this, but there's some stuff we got to figure out. So I'm not sure what to do in like the meantime. I think what we had talked about was tonight getting input. This is really the first time we've had a space for input from council. So I think just getting like a temperature check on, do other people want to see, are they open to the idea of seeing a plan? Therefore, is it worth staff spending more time to work on something and then come back and say, hey, here's the way this would work and should we do it or not? So anyway, those are some of my thoughts.
I'd like to see something a little more formal from the schools. I know that I've been on Walnut during, in the morning and then for pickup, just back and forth to work and running around town. And I will say that, because there hasn't been an accident, that's great, but near misses count. And I've seen far less near misses because of the traffic pattern. You just can't go down Short Street. So you got to take a break and you got to wait a second and you got to let the kids cross or the grandmas or the papaws and then you have to go. It makes people take pause because they can't turn down Short Street. And I've observed that a lot. Or cutting through the bank parking lot. People they're stopping. But yeah, I would like I would like to see some more input from the schools. And parents.
Well, we're on the more input. I know there's been a lot of people that have referenced what's happening with Tom's. There's a lot of people that have referenced what's happening with the bank. I would love to know, and maybe they don't want to weigh in because it's, so controversial. But it'd be great to have a sense of, does it impact I honestly don't know what they think. I know what other people think about what they think, but I'd love to know.
Marshall, wait a minute. Were you pointing to Brian?
Yeah, Brian, never weighed in.
I'd love to know whatever you
Well, Marcia, if you want to say something.
I absolutely have. Hi, I'm Marcia Walker. I own a business across the street from Short Street, and I actually have talked to the bank manager, and she doesn't have corporate giving her permission to speak up, but it's hard on the bank. They have investment advisors that come, and she said they're having a hard time. They lost multiple spaces that were, it looks like 2 spaces off Short Street, but actually they could get 4 or 5 cars there before. So, and I've already told you what it's done with my business. So I think you're clear about that. And how I feel about, I watched the presentation for the gathering space in Beatty Park today because I was communicating with Jenna Marie. And I think y'all ought to watch that again because that had the buy-in of many organizations in town, and it was a great plan. So, for a gathering space.
Thank you, Marshall.
Okay, so obviously people want to hear my opinion. All right, so 3 things. Putting the timer on me?
We have an executive session.
Okay.
I don't have that control.
Okay, so first of all, I am super compelled by the feedback that we got from the schools. And we cannot discount that. I think there are other things that, we've talked about in the past doing, but I think that's really important. Second thing is, I'm a big fan of removable bollards for two reasons. One is that aesthetically it will look better. And again, this was a pilot, so, we were just trying things out, but that's my ultimate vision is that we have those removable bollards, and then we can decide, when it should be closed and when it should be opened. I mean, that I think can work really well. And then I guess the third piece for me is I think it's really important to think about a plan, including restrooms. That is something that is important for our downtown businesses. And I guess I want to understand how that's going to work better. And then sort of related to that is, I don't want to forget the part about that. I hear a lot of people say this is a space for villagers. And so, this summer was weird. It was hot. Yes, we need to have better sails to shade and whatnot. But I think there's some real potential there. And so I think it's interesting, Matthew's point about a do-over. I think ultimately, these kinds of things, we got to try it and, get feedback. I think we've gotten some good feedback. But ultimately, I'm kind of trusting Johnny and the team on this, to be honest. And I think based on the feedback that we've gotten, we got to keep moving forward. So I appreciate the efforts.
So I think in the packet, the question on the table was basically, there's a few options.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah.
I had a fourth thing. I want those 5 parking spots to come back. And so I believe if we are going to permanently close it, we can have 1 crosswalk and we have room for 5 more parking spots. So anyway, so I think that is one thing that we can resolve. And now I'm done.
No, I thought what staff was saying is, hey, what's the direction? And so I think what I'm hearing is, come back with some plans and tell us what you'd like. I think I'm hearing general openness and would like to hear more about what it would be, that we need to then talk about that, and then we could make a final decision, but that it's worth the time to share some plans. Is that, am I summary? I don't want to speak for anybody. I'm just trying to get to the.
I think I would say that, as I did say, I'm in favor of it, but would be interested in even now, just from a planning perspective, what things can be done to address and alleviate, some of the concerns. Like, is there a good way, excuse me, to make it positive? And I guess at least maybe just, I'm not suggesting redoing the report or rejiggering the data, but I guess confirming in my mind, the folks who offered suggestions or concerns, can that be interpreted as, doing those things would move me from a no or maybe to a solid yes if these things were to happen. So I wonder if you could sort of, if it's possible, pull that out of the data. Okay.
I'll just say a couple of things before I move on to manager's report. Bathrooms, we got turned down for the grant. until council makes a permanent decision, they recommend us not bringing it back. But if we make it a permanent space, they're willing to listen to it again. So that was the feedback that they gave me. They really thought it was a great project, but because it's a temporary pilot project, they didn't want to fund that project at this time. So I can understand that too. We have heard the complaints from the unhoused. PD has been encouraging them to move on to another space. That has greatly improved. We have heard complaints about the Porta John Park is what some people refer it to. So we have literally moved it to another section that we still have some bathrooms downtown. I also want to say that we had a parking concept plan in 2020. They got removed from the comprehensive land use plan, and we should bring that back at the same time. We're talking about making this permanent, because there's a lot more parking that can be had or installed around this area that would make parking not a problem. So that's just one thing to think about as well.
And
So,
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think that's exactly the kind of thing I want to know. Like, if you
Correct.
tell me, oh, there's a parking problem here, but there's a solution over there, then, this idea of if we can put more parking on Xenia,
Correct.
or if the Elm Street parking is a possibility, or that's the kind of thing I want to know. And I can imagine how it might work theoretically, but come share that.
yeah. So I'm actually working with Terry Holden, Dr. Holden. The school bus drop-off is now located on Limestone. In December, they flip-flop the sections of what they're doing. So the schools is working with the village. We're making a bus drop-off on the other side, but to eliminate, so we don't eliminate those parking spots, we are going to try a different angle patterning just on a couple, that section in the middle, and then have signage for the bus drop-off. But then the whole drop-off zone is going to change for the school, and they're still working that out. And then Walnut Street could be revisited as again, instead of the typical pattern of what they got, we could change some things up there. So more answers to come. We're actively working with, I think we got enough information, at least, that we can move forward and work with some other partners and bring you back something.
I wasn't looking, Matt, so I assume myself, Marcia first. Please, come up to the mic.
I just have a question about whether this temporary project that was supposed to end after street fair, is it going to continue after your event, October 31st? Because I need to know to decide what I'm doing with my business.
Can I throw in, I guess?
I had the same question.
Okay.
I guess my natural inclination is this, can we say, at the next meeting, could you give us a timeline of when you think it's feasible to have a plan and discuss that question? So that the short version would be, in the meantime, it would be closed, and then come let us know what the,
I don't think it's possible by next, because I'm out of town after this Friday. I'm out of town until November 3rd.
Okay.
So,
We could get some work going on it.
we could get
Yeah.
work going on.
Okay.
yes.
Sorry, we couldn't be
But I
more.
also don't think we're going to have a complete plan to be able to bring back so council can say yes or no.
Can you open it in the meantime?
Well, that means taking everything down and that's, I'm going to leave that to council's decision. I will do what you guys want me to do. But if we reopen it, it's going to be a lot harder to close it the next time.
Yeah.
So,
Matt, go ahead, Matt, and then Philip, do you have something?
I just want to make a quick comment about that, and part of this whole exercise is, it's a trust-building exercise between the community and the leadership, the council, and the administration. And so that means that we have to actually be good on our word. And this project was said it was going to be brought down in Fall Street Fair. It was going to be a trial, and we've all done that. And we extended it for whatever reasons. So to now just say you're going to leave it open-ended, that kind of seems like a violation of the trust that the community's put into you guys. So I get that it's not perfect, but I mean, it's kind of where we are.
Thank you, Matt.
So I was going to bring up, both of these points and hope to leave here with some sort of ask. But let me recap, just so I'm clear. It sounds like, Gavin, when you were saying that we were interested in moving forward, you were interested in moving forward. It doesn't sound, well, you said you were interested in moving forward, and you're going to come back with a plan of what it's going to look like, right? Or something. Yeah. What is the plan you're going? Well, you're coming back with some sort of plan, but the plan doesn't sound like the plan is going to be closed or not. So I'm trying to bottom line it. It sounds like what I'm hearing is that Short Street will be closed, and all you're doing is coming back to give recommendations on how it's going to be used in the future as closed. Is that what I heard? Because what you're asking was what was going to be my ask. But to kind of get down to the bottom line, are we saying that Short Street will be closed and you're going to come back with some sort of projections as far as what's going to happen in the future?
I don't think council's going to make a decision tonight whether it's closed or open.
Right, we have not made that determination. And now Johnny just did say, that it will be hard by whichever measure to open it and then reclose it. Yes. I think, well, he did say that. But I think by the time council makes a final decision, again, I can't speak for all of us, if we indeed accept a plan and approve a plan to have Short Street permanently closed, I would submit that if we do want it closed permanently, that as much of a heavy lift as it would be, to open it and then close it again, that's not the worst thing in the world. If permanent closure is down the road, again, I don't know that means that we don't open it and do whoever said redo, a do-over. But again, we do need to consider, the extra expense of, taking it all down and then bringing it back, versus if the decision is to have it closed, to keep it closed versus doing the other way.
The reason why I wanted clarity was, first of all, I wasn't clear. But second of all, I think Matt got to it. The level of uncertainty is already great in and just around. And to have this level of uncertainty, specifically going into holidays, I think it's easier to hear, okay, we're going to keep it closed until we figure it out, or it's going to be open and then we're going to close it. I think having that looming, like we may open, we may not, we may close, we may not, with no hard deadlines, that kind of perpetuates the chaos, if I can say that gently. So that's my ask. Is there any way that we can figure out something definitive with some sort of deadline to say, hey, we're going to come back and we're going to review something, and in December, we're going to decide until then it's going to be closed or until then it's going to be open. I don't think that those would be too much to ask, because the uncertainty specific for the downtown businesses, it gets incredible not knowing what's going to happen day to day. So that's my ask.
Can I ask, is there programming planned for after, I think the one I heard last was the Halloween thing. Is there anything else planned after that?
I know there's been talk about something at Thanksgiving. They've been talked about for Christmas. They've been talked about.
So there's ideas.
There's ideals, but nobody knows for sure.
Nothing hard, because everybody's wondering, yeah.
Right, and I think that I want to add this, I don't want to have the tail wagging the dog here, and also, let's just be honest that when it went up, it didn't take days to go up. I mean, it took, yeah, but.
Sorry, it did.
I mean, okay.
Right.
But we have to look at what, you know, we can't, like, I don't know about this, it's gonna be too hard to remove thing.
Oh, no, it'll come down easy, I can tell you that. I mean, we'll have it down in 3 or 4 days. It's just a matter of taking it down. That's totally up to council. And it was a pilot project, and if you guys want to see it removed until we can get something back permanent, I just don't know how much more I can bring you to make you feel good about closing it. I mean, we had almost 1,000 surveys. You know we have planning. This is a pilot project. So we'll keep doing our due diligence, and we'll remove it November 1.
Well, hold on, but, so Johnny, I just want to make sure that you're hearing this.
Yes.
There's a lot more information.
Oh, there
we
is,
haven't gotten.
absolutely.
So the idea, it just makes me nervous, the
Correct.
idea of I don't know how much more you can bring. We literally have no plan.
Correct.
So we've never known about what the programming would be. We've never known how much it would cost. So we're just asking for, so I just want to be clear, that it's not.
And I will bring that stuff back.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, if it's closed and we can still keep moving, but I'm okay with opening it back up and still bringing you to the data.
I see your hand. I see your hand.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was there okay. Was there anything else from council?
Well, I mean, just, I feel like we should give some kind of answer to this question. So I guess what I'm hearing is plan on it staying closed, and we're going to come back with a plan, and we can change that in 4 days. So I don't know. But anyway, I feel like we've got to, I think we like kind of touted this discussion as that we were going to give some kind of answer.
No.
No,
I don't know.
No, we did not.
Well, we did for quite a while, and then we.
I think so. I think we said,
Yeah.
we said we were making a decision on the 20th.
We talked about that for a while, that we were gonna make a decision now, and then we realized at the last agenda planning that, hey, we just had survey data, we didn't have a plan. Let's acknowledge, let's get a temperature check of what council members want. I think I have the same takeaway except for the opposite result, which is, I think what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of interest at council in hearing about a plan. But in the meantime, let's close it. Let's make that, or sorry, let's open it. Let's make it clear to everyone. Here's what is happening. Let's open it up, and then but that there's clear will and interest, that I don't think there's a lack of clarity from council of saying, open it and we're lukewarm or we're not interested. We're saying, hey, we like it conceptually. We want something, but you got to give us a plan for it. So I think that's what I was hearing from Carmen and I think Kevin. And look, it's clunky. Like, I wish it was clearer, but I don't mind the idea, and I think this idea of there being a community trust makes sense. And we don't have a plan yet, so let's just open it while we figure out a plan and then come back with a plan that hopefully addresses lots of the concerns that I think I'm hearing we can address. So that's what I was hearing. So I guess to make this an end point, I would make a motion that we that we open it on November 1st, and then that we come back with a plan and talk about a plan that I think council is open to and interested in seeing.
I mean, I feel like Carmen should probably be
It
in
would
the
be
room.
nice, yeah. Just sit here to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Reasonable pause.
Yeah, either all of.
That's what
Yeah,
you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, I would say in a perfect world, I don't want to say that. I could support, I think I have enough. I think that I'd like to hear some more about the plan, but I could see, and I think this is probably one of my comments on the survey, is because it was considered, when I first heard it, it was street fair to street fair, spring street fair to fall street fair. Now, apparently, there's already October 31st plans, and Philip, did you say something about early November? Okay, I'm sorry. I got a great imagination. Maybe, no, maybe it's your dates, the other, yeah.
They weren't listed.
Gotcha, yeah.
So what you missed is there's potentially a motion to open up Short Street on November 1st.
What is, I'm sorry, I just got back, what does potentially a motion
Well,
mean?
Gavin just.
Either
It's not
is or
potential.
not.
I just said, I make a motion to open it while that we would have a plan, then we work on getting a plan, that this does not mean that we're saying, we don't like it, never do it. We're saying,
Right.
hey, come back with a plan, but in the meantime, let's open it while we figure out the plan. That
Okay.
was the.
And Johnny, you wanted to say
So I want
something.
to make sure that we don't say just November 1st. I want to say the first week in November, because November 1st
Whenever is reasonable.
is Saturday.
Yeah,
no,
sounds good.
No one's working on Saturday.
Yeah, that's totally.
I mean, you, don't count, sorry. Don't count.
Was there something from staff?
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry.
did want to make sure, did everyone receive information from Active Transportation as well as school board members, other school board representatives about safety improvements with this change? Did you guys get that information in your packets? Okay, good. I just wanted, that wasn't really, there wasn't a lot of drive home with that, but that's obviously pretty significant, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Carmen, you made an excellent point.
Yeah, and
but
I want to
just-
see, yeah.
Sure, I wanted to double down on it, make sure it's
Well,
understood that like.
And I did
a lot of
mention
safety,
that was
so.
one of the most compelling things to me.
Agreed. It is the most compelling thing for me. So before you make a decision, I want to make sure that safety is the number one thing you consider. So, that's all.
Yeah, and to be clear, what Chief Burgess is referring to is, I'll say Dr. Holden's comment about the safety, and Matt, I think you touched on it also, the safety improvements while Short Street is closed. I mean, I think the schools, if we were to list off, I wouldn't try to do top five stakeholders, but the folks who literally live there, the schools, Chamber had comments as well, Community Foundation, the bank, and I understand the bank, someone said that the bank couldn't speak. So this gentleman had his hand up, and Philip, if you have a comment, and Amy, so go ahead.
My name is Steve McCullough. I've lived in Yellow Springs since 1973. I was the sales manager at ElectroShield Incorporated for 34 years. My concerns about this project is, A, we were told it was temporary, and it's still up. B, the handicap parking spot that was on Short Street, they're now both out on 68, so older folks have to get out of their car into the traffic with all the semis barreling through town, because it's a state route. Another thing I've noticed is there's been some events down there, and they all seem to pop up on the same night that there's another event already going on in town. Like, there doesn't seem to be any coordination, which I'm in bands, so like we try to coordinate with other bands and stuff, so we're not both taking half the people over here and half the people over there. So Thursday night's big night at Trail Town. It's the night they make their money. Go ask them. I'm sure they make more money on Thursday night with that thing than the rest of the week that they're open. Peaches has open mic on Tuesday nights. That's their big night. Sometimes Wednesday, there's occasionally some live entertainment and a little art that's been going on. Friday night's the Emporium's night. Those are all right around there and affected by it. So that is one of my concerns. And the local businesses downtown, I'm concerned about the ability. They're all struggling right now. Tariffs are killing everybody. People, if they're going to have to walk farther to get to like Ohio Silver, they may decide, I'll just go to Jared's or somewhere where I can park by the mall and, and go in there, and things like that. And so it just seemed like it went up, and we were made this promise, and then now it's just sort of like, well, it's already here, so let's just leave well enough alone kind of attitude about it. And I don't feel that the businesses were really consulted on it. There's a lot of talk about the bank or the school over here, but what about her business, what about the Sunrise? What about the drugstore? What about the toy store? They're all around there. The hardware store is gone. So, so that's kind of my concerns about it. And I just felt like you should have a plan before you enact a plan that's going to affect that many people.
I got Philip and then Amy.
Yeah, and then I would say we took public comment, and then we just got to decide here without every round, can't add more people, otherwise we'll be here for.
Right.
Understood. So last two.
Was there so that was a motion? Is that what happened? When I was gone?
I am going to allow these last two comments to come up.
Hi, Amy Bailey. I'm a member of the school board. Didn't know I was coming to speak tonight, but I just wanted to make a comment regarding safety. I appreciate Chief Burge's comments. That is the number one priority for us. And every time, I would like to encourage council to consider keeping what we have currently until we make a permanent decision, because every time we change things for school drop-off and pickup, it creates safety concerns. Our principal, our amazing new principal, has to revamp every plan we have every time we change things. School drop-off has forever been a challenge, and I think that we just need to make a final decision about this really soon. One other comment I would like to make is that I hope that everybody up here in their official capacity is able to be making proper decisions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Amen. Philip, did you want to go ahead and close out? And this will be the last one. Okay. We're closing public comments. Council, you have the floor. So are we going to formalize or restate?
Just for the, it's like, I could see it both ways. This totally makes sense, the idea of, so I'm just trying to get us to some point of conclusion. So if people could weigh in on what do you think we should do, maybe we can get to that point of conclusion.
Well, part of why I mentioned that, maybe there was a motion on the floor was that I kind of like what Amy said, like let's keep the status quo and again, with the expectation that we're going to come back and we can make changes pretty quickly. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
What are you thinking, Carmen?
So, the packet, the safety concerns from students, not students, but parents, the school, and then with what Chief just brought up, I'm there, I'm 100% there, and also, we did say that this was going to be for a finite amount of time. We did say that. What I would propose, if we do move forward with a permanent closing, is that we have a plan by January, if that's what we decide to do. So what was your motion again? Your proposed motion, or was it a motion?
I think the question on the table is just, do you think we should leave it open or open it back up while we make a plan, or should we leave it closed while we make a plan?
Did you make a motion?
I made a motion to open it back up, but it's like I'm like you, I think, in that I can see both sides. I see the benefits of both. Yeah. Do you want to weigh? Do you have a?
So I'm, the school safety thing just sort of changed my mind. What I'm balancing is the promise that was made in terms of public trust. So, I don't want to make light of that. But we do have, I believe, hard plans or legitimate plan for any event that's planned at least Halloween, right? And right?
Hard plans.
Well, there's, someone's planning to use the space.
Right.
On the 31st of October. I don't even know who all it is. And- Second, please. You're right. Thank you. So I'd like to see I would be happy with a permanent closure at some point. What I'm struggling with is, like, do we, if we open it, what's a good time to do so, to minimize the impact, of safety concerns? And then another legitimate question is, what is the value of opening it, knowing that we're going to close it again? Is it just a matter of fulfilling our word? Or is it practical to do so? I can see some practicality, with respect, Brian, to your proposal about the removable bollards. You got to move what's there to put those in, and that's takes some work to do that. So, and I would think with the data we have now, and with some of the tweaks and addressing some of the concerns, I think it is possible to make it a great space and have it permanently closed. My only question is, like, when? So I'm definitely in favor of making it a permanent town square. Just when and does it make sense to open it in the meantime?
So, folks,
I know it's
your
late.
agenda does say, council discussion of data, citizen input. Determination of next steps, plans, long-term decisions will be discussed at a future meeting. And you're trying to do it now, and I feel like the wheels are stuck in the mud and spinning, and you really didn't indicate to the public that you would make it a long-term decision tonight. I think it is best that you say, okay, next meeting, we are going to try to do that. I feel your compulsion to get a decision done, but I think you need to move it to the next meeting, because we are not moving forward here.
Understood. There's wisdom in hearing good counsel. And I think being reminded that we, I didn't think we had planned on deciding tonight, but I think we definitely did plan to decide in near term. Maybe we proposed this meeting, but I don't know that can in our heart of hearts make the best decision right now. I feel the compulsion, thanks Judy for introducing that concern, to make these types of decisions right away. But based on what we were just reminded of, sounds like we didn't actually commit to make a decision. And I don't know that, I'll stop talking, and if someone wants to make a motion to do something differently, I'm thinking we need to clear a couple of more things up before making a decision.
I made a motion, nobody seconded it. Brian made the opposite. So I think we should just say, let's just decide at the next meeting. Sorry for the lack of clarity that I think we all understand, and there's a dynamic here of, I think we're learning that we have to do a better job of planning, communicating on the front end so that we don't end up in these situations. But that's where, what's that?
What changes in 2 weeks?
That we have to decide that
Yeah.
you have to.
Have this discussion.
Point of order is a thing.
Communicating, we're going to communicate what will be on the agenda, what will be discussed, and there will be memos, et cetera, as is usually the case.
And I did make a request, maybe as half-hearted as it was, for not another presentation, but another look at the data to answer the question. And I think what'll be different is we will have some more definitive data and a plan or something towards a plan to really do.
Point of order.
Okay. We will bring this back to next meeting. Johnny, I'm going to ask you, even though you're going to be out for a period, to really...
I'll be back in November.
Okay, to encourage folks to keep the ball moving. Do know, folks, that we care. We hear you. If we could flip things around the snap of a finger, it would be a different situation. And I'm going to say, this whole thing, even though I knew that the schools were one of the, what I call top 5, if you will, stakeholders, I'm being encouraged by folks up here and in the audience to make the safety issue one of our top considerations. So I'm not prepared to say when we would open it up again and then flip the safety thing on its head. But we will bring it back. And please understand that deliberation of these types of things where there's a great deal of public interest, it does weigh heavily on us, and I think we will end up with probably a very nice solution at some point, and it'll be used, the space will be used, and I think we'll be better for it. But I just don't think we want to commit to when we would do something that would make a change. So appreciate your input, your concern, your participation. Before we move on, I think to the manager's report, anything else needs to be, anybody feel strongly about? Okay. Again, thanks for participation. We're going to move to the manager's report.
All right, manager's report. We have a graph in there for the tax dollar, where your taxes go. We broke it out into the dollar form. 11.67 cents of every dollar goes to your property taxes for the village, for general fund, for PD, for parks, streets, administration, staff, and all that. I attended the Fairborn Greater Dayton Mayors and Managers. Myself and Mayor Pam was there. They talked about all their economic development they got going on, and they are really booming. So they got a lot of things going on. I will be attending the ICMA. I'm leaving Friday, and then I will be back on November 3rd for council. Street Fair was a huge success. My 12 years here at the village, that is the smoothest, best ran, I'd say one of the top attended. The feel was great, the spacing was great, the addition of Walnut Street was great. So it was overall, staff was able to focus on safety. The chamber and their great volunteers was able to handle all the inside things. So it went off without a hitch. It was just tremendous. Fire department was fully staffed. And we've made a little tweaks for June, but overall it was a tremendous event, and it was well attended. Give a shout out to Ben. He got his Part 107 certificates for flying drones. That is actually one of his pictures right there, and he was able to fly it to get some parking analysis and all that for us. Samantha Stewart and a great bunch of teens and volunteers helped her with parking, and she was able to secure about $3,600 for the youth program downstairs. Council, we did the budget session. We're so far behind. Big news is we had a water main break on Thursday before Street Fair in the front yard of the Bryant Center, where the stage goes, by the way. So the crews dug that up. They had to shut the water off when they turned the water back onto the Bryant Center. We had a backflow preventer of 3-inch that literally failed and sent 3 inches of water through the whole entire first floor, stopping at the PD's door. So we have, if you see the coke bases off and holes in the water, we had Rusto Pro come in after. We literally had 17 staff members with shovels and mops trying to contain all the water. So they are, insurance, we contacted them. They've come out and done it, come out and looked at it. On top of that, the backflow is not fixed. It is working, but it is dripping, and we got the price today. It's $8,600 to replace it. It cannot be rebuilt. So that was our Thursday before our Friday setup for our Saturday street fair. So I've got a link in there in case anybody has not seen the 60 Minutes on the hacking of the water plants and the power grids. I encourage everybody to watch it, and they're showing how the hacking is going on smaller communities, just to plan for something larger. So I highly encourage this. Is a YouTube link. It'll take you right to it. This was actually a small town in Massachusetts that does not feed anybody but that small town. So take time, get up to speed on what we're facing on infrastructure. I reached out to Vernay's. They was able to give me where they are with the statement of basis and a schedule. They're probably in 26. They're looking at trying to get back on schedule to get things dug up and remediated out there. Building permits, NIC, we asked them to do a review on our fees. They have come back and recommended some changes, so Meg and I are looking at bringing back some increased on building permit fees and things for construction. Calls for service, in a 2-week period, we had 1,247 in the PD, so that tells you how often they get to answer the phone calls. We hosted the Mo's Lawn Coach for Kids, October 13th. It was a great time. There is a picture on the back that shows the event at Target. We did receive Brother. As you see, he's there at the bottom, but if you go down there and look at him today, you'll think that that is a different dog.
He's big.
He got a haircut.
Okay.
And so he looks nothing like his fluffy picture right now. So he is 1 year old as of last Friday. So we are starting down the path of trying to help train another one. Florence and Danny served 120 people. They are busier than ever. The potential for a moratorium on some vape stores or smoke shops will be coming. Amy, is that next week? Our next council, we're going to bring some legislation for council to help us maybe put a moratorium on some incoming, just so we can get a plan on how to address it in the future. We already talked about the TIF and the CRA. Business walk happened on Friday, and it was fantastic. We had about 16 to 20 people go out and reach out to all the businesses. Fantastic event. A lot of great people was able to give some good feedback on it. Timekeeping, we are going to use both systems until November so we can work all the bugs out of it, but it seems to be going very well as well. October and November leaf pickup bags, $9.03. You have to get them from our office because they're supplied by Rumpke. So at least put that in there. So give them a call if you are looking for leaf pickup bags. And all the other ones, I'm going to wait. I know it's late, and we'll just move on. So, unless you had any other questions.
Yeah, just to ask real quick on the Vernay thing. So does this chart mean that they think they might be completed with remediation by the end of next year?
They
Does the
will
lines stop?
No.
Okay.
This means that they will be digging out what they have spotted. The remediation ain't gonna be done for 30-plus years.
30-plus years, okay. I thought we were a long way off. I just wanted to make sure.
So that's on their website. If you go to YouTube and look up Vernay, Vernay has graphics, and it shows you exactly how long it's gonna take. And the date on that graphic is 2050. And it's been there since, I don't know, since 2018, I think, is when they put that video up. So it's there, and it's been there since at least 18.
But I was able to get a faster response this time when I emailed them, so they're all back. That is what I have.
Any other questions for the village manager? All right, there's no old business, no new business, board and commission reports. This being our second meeting of the month, we'll make room for, nominations and board highlights.
Okay, you have the person, now?
Yep.
This is nominating Anthony Samuelson, who's he's currently on BZA for the alternate planning commission. Just as a reminder, it's an alternate position. If we select a full-time position, you'll still have to go through with the process. It's not like the alternates just
Right.
automatically become the
Full
planning
board.
commission members if needed. So, but appreciate that he's been serving for years, has expressed an openness and interest in serving in this position. Don't think we've had any other volunteers, so yay, people volunteering. So I'm nominating Anthony Tony Samuelson for the alternate planning commission.
I'll second.
Second? Oh,
But you can have it. Okay.
got it.
All right, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, any other board and commission updates? Okay. Judy, how are you feeling about future agenda items?
Everything's there. I just added a discussion regarding Short Street.
So then where,
And then the conversion legislation, is that?
Oh, is it?
I guess I would like to know what the arguments are. Like, I think many people made points, but could somebody call Equality Ohio, and then could we, Amy, can you write down and I think what it sounds like we're all looking for is there something that both acknowledges the issue and
There's
is there any
nothing
line, is
on
there
the
anywhere along the
website.
line that you can do something that is, either it does not have to be enforced or is not? I think we all agree with it. It's just, is there any line?
I have suggested all those things, and they were not, that was characterized as that I was silencing them. So, and Equality Ohio has nothing on their website.
Well, we do have a list of about 15 municipalities that have passed this legislation.
But they do have the ability to enforce. We do not. That is the difference.
Well, I mean, we can revisit that discussion. I mean, we've done anti-fracking that we couldn't enforce. We've done same-sex marriage. So, anyway, so I think it needs to come back is the bottom line.
I think the issue was that it was brought to council, and it was because it was generally understood that it could be enforceable. And I think that the question was, doing a heavy lift and then, bringing back the HRC, and then something about it, we don't have any way to civilly litigate something like that, but we could. And so I don't want to start getting into the weeds with that. Talking about passing something that just says, this is who we are and this is who you represent, I'm not opposed to.
And also, it was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, but I'd never revisited it. The U.S. Supreme Court did just have arguments last week, oral argument last week on the state of Colorado's conversion ban. And the indication from questioning is there's a good chance that the court could overrule the state's ban, which would then, overrule local bans like this as well.
Discussion? Bring it back as a discussion? I mean, I don't think there's a giant rush.
I would put for me, this would be like open to talking about it would like to kind of see if there's a place to slot it in where we have a bunch of priorities right now, like trying to figure out where to put it in. So not, if we have a packed agenda, then I think we're all agreeing there's not something timely about it, there's nothing we can do from an enforcement standpoint.
We can hammer some stuff out in
But it's
agenda
interesting you
planning.
brought up the Gaza thing. Like, it's an interesting balance for all of us to figure out. Like, what do we do about things that we care about, but that we can't enforce very much? There's some things that make sense to do, and
Sure.
where do you draw the line? It's hard.
I just don't like giving the illusion of safety when there is not safety. And doing a Gaza thing didn't probably make anyone in Gaza think that they were safer.
Precisely.
But this might, and it doesn't.
So further discussion, I think, is the key, maybe pertinent.
So I put it on as a placeholder,
Yeah,
and that is all
per
I have.
Amy's, comment, perhaps we'll get a good piece of data soon, as far as the Supreme Court goes. All right, any other future agenda items? Oh,
Motion to go?
well, I was going to ask about the ES, whether Carmen or you, could you still stay later if we did do an ES? I've been texting Trish, not getting any response. And I wonder if there's how much value is there in doing that ES if we don't have Tiffany?
We don't have Tiffany, we don't have Trish. She was a driver, and I think that you, Brian, you were a driver for this, or you.
Yeah, I've been.
So you don't have Trish.
The issue is trying to stay on time.
Well, yeah, of course, the issue is
Yeah.
trying to stay on time, but also I'm going to point out that we don't have 50% of the drivers. We don't have 50% of the people that wanted to do this. We have one person that's here.
And we
So
could-
I can stay, and also, does it make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm without,
If I may, Kevin,
Yeah,
I would
please.
suggest we have the executive session.
So is now the time, I'm making the motion, move an executive session for the thing, sorry.
122.
121.22G1.
Yeah. Consider conversation of public employees, and I think we try to keep it as brief as possible.
It should be brief.
Should we
Yeah.
adjourn, Judy, before we go?
No?
No?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? indicate-
No,
Oh, no,
hold.
voice vote? Yep, wait.
Stokes?
Oh, yes.
DeVore Leonard?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Tausch?
Yes.
And who are you keeping in the room?
Certainly Amy.
I think Amy and Johnny should stay so we can all be on the same
Yeah.
page.
I
Is
think
there
that's
anybody,
good.
I mean,
Well, Johnny, do you want?
oh, if that's okay, I don't know.
You want these?
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to move back into regular session.
Second.
All right, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Everybody agreed, we're all here. Thank you for all of what has occurred tonight. Chair will entertain a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, we are